All right, welcome to episode 7. We have Aaron in Georgia, DJ Sky High, and obviously Chris, my fellow host, Curfew on the production in the background. You all are here earlier than I anticipated. I thought that Pride Month was in June, and I found out recently that in Winchester it isn't. So I was like panicked. I was like, what am I going to do here? Our silence would be deafening if we didn't partake in our community event. And I reached out to several people I know in the area, and they said, you got to talk to Georgia, you know. and you're really sweet and responded quickly and came out to see me. I appreciate that. And thanks for coming so quick notice today. I saw a lot of posters out, and it looks like you're bringing a lot of awareness to the activities that are upcoming. So this allows you an opportunity to share with our community what's happening and how we can support you and help you. So how did you come about being the organizer and taking on the leadership role, or if you will, in this area, in this community? How did someone know to tell me to come to you?
Oh, well, I founded Winchester Pride. It didn't exist until I pulled the permit and decided to have it. So I was the originator of it. I put together the original committee, which is still the committee that's in place with the addition of two people and the reduction of one. But that's why. It's because I'm the one that started the whole thing.
What year did this take place?
2018.
Okay. Awesome.
Was the first year. We had 2018, 2019, and then 2020 and 2021. We didn't have Pride for obvious reasons, that being the pandemic. So now we're back, and we have moved it. It was in June. The first year we had it on what is traditionally Pride Weekend, which is the weekend that the Stonewall events took place. And it was on the 20th, actually, which is the day. So, and then the following year we got pushed back a week because of a biker rally that was coming through Winchester. But 2019, we had 3 medical emergencies on the mall because of how hot it was. Oh. So this year we decided to try to avoid that and move it to the fall. Plus SU's in session. So we wanted to be able to have the university participate.
Right.
And when we had it in June, they couldn't participate.
Mm-hmm. We really started to kick off in the late spring, early summer with putting together a place to facilitate dance music. And we noticed when Shenandoah University wasn't here. So their presence was missed for sure. Definitely. So that makes sense. When you talk about the Stonewall event, what are you referring to?
That's a really good question. So Stonewall refers to the queer space in New York City that was raided in the 1960s. So it was a queer space where people were able to go dance and do drag and be themselves. But then back then it was illegal to wear articles of clothing that were not assigned to your gender. So the police raided. And it was, I believe, Marsha P. Johnson, who was a drag queen of color, who started the riot. And ever since, that's why June is Pride Month, because that riot at Stonewall Inn in New York City kind of started the movement.
Oh, incredible. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. And it resulted in a lot of queer people being arrested, persecuted. Yeah, mm-hmm. So that's why.
Yeah, in June, just like Georgia said, the other reason too is that since June is Pride Month, there are so many other prides that happen during that month. So we just wanted to make sure that people in our community where we are didn't have to choose between which pride to go to, because every weekend they're packed full of options. And we wanted to make sure that they had the option to go to theirs where they live. But also, like Georgia mentioned, the weather was a big one too. So that comfort level was there for everybody, because being in drag in like 90-degree heat in the middle of June is not cute at all. At all.
Right. We get everybody to participate that went to all the other prides too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It would be tough in the heat, I can imagine. So there was a law against wearing a typical, like any type of clothing. There was someone wrote that down?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It said someone will only wear this?
Yeah.
Who defined what this was?
Well, it would have been the legislators in those communities.
Mm-hmm. I've almost bought female shirts on several occasions because they look great, but I didn't realize they were female shirts. Well, until I put them on, I'm like, what is this? Mm-hmm. It doesn't fit me good. Yeah, that's crazy. Well, that's something we don't have to worry about. So good.
Well, yeah. I mean, you say that, but honestly, with the way things are going in the schools and with queer kids and transgender kids, I don't know that it isn't something you have to worry about, which is why I started Pride.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were talking last week. We had a really good group of guests that were, again, law enforcement, musicians or minorities or whatever in the same room. And I think we all came to a consensus that the more time we spend together in each other's space, the more that we realize through durations of time, through work or working together through this effort or just sitting down and talking, how much we actually really like each other and get along.
Yeah, got to get out of the bubble.
Yeah, it's just that crashing into each other, if you will, and getting around each other creates good energy. It's really hard to have negative energy in small spaces when you are hanging out and getting to know human beings.
Well, it's also easy to, make assumptions by people's labels. You can always think that, well, this person says that they're this type of person, so they only think this way. This is the only stuff they like. There's no way that I could ever, get along. So to resonate that sentiment. Yeah. The more time you spend closer to each other, the more you get more understanding, the more humanized the experience becomes. Because when people are objectified with labels, then it's easy to disagree, hate, whatever you want to say about it. But the more you become human with somebody, the more you can share,
Communication.
Well,
Yeah.
but I mean, sometimes you really do have to force it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's the thing. I think partially with Pride is that, the first year that we did it, 2018, there were a lot of businesses downtown that would not fly the rainbow flag. They did not want to participate in any way. They didn't want to be involved. And now all of those businesses seek us out because they recognize that the stigma that they were afraid of doesn't exist. That
Right.
being inclusive isn't something that's going to piss off your clientele. People aren't going to stop coming because you're inclusive.
Right. And you focus on, we're in a human place of art.
It's not just the new venue in town. It's a monument to live entertainment.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome
The Monument, the new premier concert and event venue in Winchester. 2 stories, state-of-the-art sound, delicious food and drink, and the best in live events. The Monument, on the corner of Loudon and Piccadilly in Winchester, and right at the cutting edge of live entertainment. Go to themonumentva.com. That's themonumentva.com for events, tickets, special offers, and more. The Monument. We'll see you at the next show.
All right, welcome back. All right, and where were we at here, Georgia?
It's way more comfortable where I am now.
Is it? All right,
Little switcheroo.
We just had to switch it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I sat there last week. That's a comfortable spot.
It's a comfortable spot.
So you saw the community change its position, changing the perception, being involved, reaching out to you, and looking for your endorsement, essentially.
Yeah, and wanting to be involved and wanting to to create safe spaces, wanting to have events that would have been labeled traditionally gay events, drag shows, what have you. We have a show coming up over Pride Weekend that is a Golden Girls game show musical, which is super cool. So there's all kinds of different events that are just fun that would have been viewed as traditionally drag that are now embraced by the community.
I actually remember the actual conversation that happened that kind of sparked the idea of Winchester Pride, because it was in 2017 when we were at Panhandle Pride, and it was in Shepherdstown.
Yep.
Yeah, and I was performing there. I had been doing drag for a couple years at that point, and at the end of the show, Georgia and Brian were there. They came up to me and they're like, "Why don't we do this in Winchester?" And I was like, no, we're not going to do that. And then here we are 5 years later, third celebration. And I think the celebration that we have is just, I'm so proud of it. I know that these two are too, and I'm really happy that we get to talk about it. Yeah. But that's the conversation that happened that kind of sparked the idea. And, Georgia is a very tenacious person, and she did not let the idea go.
Well,
so here we are.
But be fair. In 2018, there were 5 bills that came up in the Virginia legislature that were all focused on LGBTQ rights, and they were specifically about housing, and none of them even made it out of committee. And that was when I said, "Fuck this! I'm having Winchester Pride."
In what way is housing policy regulated in this way?
Our representatives stop looking at the idea.
It isn't always the case that you are protected because you are queer. quite often you are not considered to be a member of a protected class just because you are queer.
There's also, they have laws like they have I remember when I was in college, they have laws against you can have only certain same amount of same-sex people in one building for brothel purposes or whatever. Yeah, which is an extremely archaic and dated practice. But it's good, and so it's good that you bring up these things.
I haven't checked the books lately, but sodomy was illegal up until at least 2 years ago, and I think the legislature has changed that. But yeah, there's that.
Yeah, buddy.
Georgia attorney at law.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Facing sodomy charges.
Councilwoman is here. Yeah, that's great. So we keep getting really, really intelligent women on our show so far in our short life. So good pathway. So Georgia was last night. We were talking about changing the date from next Thursday to today. So thanks for doing that for us, Aaron. And then she told me that you wouldn't have an opportunity to be in, I guess, character or I guess drag. And I didn't even expect that, but it's actually cooler that you aren't, because it for me, like, I don't think I've met anyone that performs in that art outside of that character. Is it okay?
You may have, you may just not know it, because
for sure,
there's not a certain way that drag queens look,
Yeah.
And I've gotten that personal feedback a lot in my life, where when people meet me as Aaron first, they don't necessarily anticipate what Alexa is. And then when they meet Alexa first, they don't necessarily anticipate what Aaron is. I don't really know what that means, but that's what I get told. So I love being called Aaron. My pronouns are he, him, his. When I'm in drag, feel free to call me Alexa, but feel free to call me Aaron also. But it's also important to note, especially for viewers who are not very familiar with drag culture, that is my preference. That is not a collective preference. It really is based on the individual. So in drag, I mean, the drag community, they really are heavy on the he, she, hey girl, go by drag names. I have really good friends, and I didn't know their government or given names years after I knew them, because we know each other from a drag space. And I think that really speaks to the culture, because it really shows that you present what you want to present,
Well, when he said who was going to be on the show, I looked you up. So then when you said, hey, I'm Aaron, but also you might know me as Alexa, I was like, wow, that's why I said, good work, man.
Thank you.
Good work.
Yeah, drag is a transformation. Yeah.
You are a master at your craft. I will give you that.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank
absolutely.
You. I don't know if these headphones are going to fit. My head is blowing up.
So, I think I have some pictures from the early days.
Oh, yeah, we don't need those.
Shrink that head right back down.
But in the drag community, though, inside of the LGBTQ plus community, in the drag community, I feel like, are there straight guys that participate too, or is that few and far?
And girls.
And women as well, and that's the other thing, drag kings, that's a very, I'm not part of the community, so I don't think about it, but I do know that that's, part of the show. And
yeah,
that's really,
it's a fantastic question, and I'm really glad that you brought it up, because at the forefront, drag is rooted in queer history. However, like everything, it evolves over time. So I think that drag is for everybody. Me and my friends, we like to say all drag is valid, but not all drag is good. So yeah, I mean, biological women do drag, straight men do drag. Is it very common? Not for the straight man side of it, but all kinds of other demographics certainly participate in the art. It's open to everybody.
Whenever you created Alexa, like, how do you formulate the name, and is there like a certain style where people would be recognizing Alexa?
Yeah. That's also a really good question. I think drag is so regional. It's also very personal. There are so many layers to it and so many variables. So my journey, it really started as like my spectator sport. Like, it was something that I always loved to watch and go be a part of, but never really do or participate in. And then, in like 2012, I was going to like the gay bar, and I made friends, all the drag queens, and I would go see them every weekend. And then one weekend we had a conversation like, why don't you do it? I mean, it's like, yeah, I can do this too. And that was in 2013, and I haven't stopped.
So when you have a contest, though, what is the...
You mean a pageant?
It's not a contest?
It depends. That's also a very good question.
Yeah.
It can be.
It seems to be a competitive edge. Like the little girl pageants or whatever. I remember, seeing those when I was young in elementary school. Some of the girls would do that stuff. But I don't. They were getting judged on like singing or also answering questions.
we do that.
The same thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
For the pageant, yeah.
Yeah, for the pageant we do. I mean, and you use the word contest, which is also a good word. So there are like drag contests everywhere that hosted at clubs or any kind of venue or whatever, and people can kind of get up and do what they do. Very like maybe unstructured is the word compared to a pageant, which is very structured because there are categories to compete in. Very similar to a pageant for biological women that we're used to seeing traditionally. So for a drag pageant, common categories are evening gown, onstage question, interview, talent. Yeah. And then for talent, you can do a solo talent or you can do something like a group production with backup dancers. It really just is about putting your best foot forward that also is entertaining and tells a story. Those are the basic rules of doing a drag talent.
Yeah, I think that what connects us to, the Pride movement and what is happening and getting to understand you all is we are in the entertainment business, and everybody, again, we keep saying that we want to be the one place everybody agrees on, and that means that people that love all different types of energy and music and things like that. So from an entertainment point of view, the spectators, are they making the decisions on this, or there's a judge of pageantry judges?
No, there's judges.
Oh, okay, so it's never based on public.
Well, sometimes.
votes.
I mean,
Yeah,
sometimes
you're
at clubs it would be depending on the
For like
contest.
talent night stuff
Yeah.
and newcomer stuff. But for a structured formal pageant, there is a panel of
But
judges.
if for a pageant where you're winning prizes and bookings and a crown,
Right.
and you're going to represent a community, it's general. For our pageant, it's judges.
Okay. And how do they become a judge?
Winning pageants themselves.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Their ass are invited.
sure.
Yeah, but they have to be credentialed, so they have to have won pageants themselves.
Credentialed, I like that word.
Yeah.
They have
Accredited.
a lot of
Mhm.
them put on their own pageants, so they know what they're looking for, and they are appropriate people to judge.
Sure.
So it's kind of the same as the traditional biological women beauty pageant,
Cool.
if you will.
Yeah, but I'm not booking one of those. So
It's pretty much the same.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
I forgot.
Swimsuit competition? That's a good question. So actually, I'm glad you brought that up because Labor Day weekend obviously just happened, and Labor Day weekend is actually the host weekend of Miss Continental, which is one of the most prestigious pageant systems in the world. And so Labor Day, we crown a new Miss Continental every year, and they're one of the only systems left that do a swimsuit category.
Oh, that's crazy. Awesome. So is there somebody that's like a really great singer in our region, or like musician wise that's super talented that you can think of? Are you? Is
I definitely don't sing.
What's Alexa's pageant talent?
Oh, that's top secret because I'm about to do a pageant in like 2 weeks.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And I never know who's going to be watching this podcast, so I can't reveal my secrets.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, I do not sing. I lip sync. I do not dance. I move. Alexa is a glamour puss. I don't want to be a woman. I don't want to look like a girl. If I want to see that, I'll go to the mall. I want to see a drag queen, so I'm going to go to a show. You know what I mean? That's what I do.
What is that? What is like?
That was very
the queen
cryptic
is like.
and intriguing.
When I hear the word, I say big
More
and like
exaggerated than normal.
diva like. Is that a right
I think it's-
perception?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. Like Beyonce, I guess.
I think it's like it's pushing boundaries. You know,
Sure.
it's like you see the pictures I've seen of Alexa is very like, you know, it's very over the top. You know, it's very, and it's cool, by the way. It has a very
Thank you.
super heroine you know, feel to it. You know,
Thank you.
So it's, you know, but yeah, it's just like, you know, I think in my humble opinion, outside eye looking in, that's the way I feel about it. Is that you know, I think that for, you know, if it's implied that these are actually not women, so why not just take it that extra step to be that much, you know, more I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, fabulous.
Well, Chris, I'm glad that you said that part about it's implied that I'm not a woman, right? So, but that's my style of drag. There are other styles of drag that are much more realistic looking and that are just as valid. I mean, we call it clocked. I mean, one of them would step on the stage, you couldn't clock it. Like you would never know that it's a man doing drag.
I was in the Philippines for 3 months, And
Oh, so the lady boys.
So you know.
The lady boys.
You know what? That term though is a misrepresented term in the United States, because a lady boy, it just has to deal with any gentleman who is very effeminate.
Mhm.
So you don't necessarily have to be in drag to be considered a lady boy. But I will say that they did a very good job, a very, very good job over there, man. I mean, like, you know, you'd see some bros that would, you know, they were definitely enjoying themselves, and it was a very culturally enriching experience for me. And they were always, the lady boys are usually the makeup artists,
Mm-hmm.
because got to be really good.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, man.
Georgia, do you think that your background in law is what brought you into this as like an advocate and understanding? Maybe every time you think about it as a councilwoman or attorney, you think about their ability to help. You know what I mean? They know the law, and is that kind of what drew you into it, or?
I think that no, I don't know. I mean, I think that you're either, well, when in the late 80s, I worked at a bar in Baltimore called the Hippodrome, and I also used to work at a bar in DC called Tracks. And those were both traditionally gay bars. And I became very familiar with the community in the late 80s, early 90s. And back then, AIDS was rampant. There were huge problems. People were dropping like flies. It was a totally different time period. I then go to school, have kids, have a family, become a lawyer, do all this stuff. And I guess that through all of that, when I was kind of focused on what I needed to do, I thought that things were evolving. And then Aaron and I became best friends 14 years ago. And that was when I started to realize that the problems that existed then kind of still exist now. And then, I think it kind of came home to me that I was now in a position to actually do something for the disenfranchised. Whereas then all I could do was drink with them and be their friends.
Sure.
So I decided that I should.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That's
There
so
are
sweet.
wolves,
Mama
there are
bear.
shepherds, and there are sheep.
Mama bear.
You, I believe, are a shepherd.
I love that.
She's
Yeah.
a punk rock shepherd. We were actually we were
She's cool as shit.
Jose was pumping the Ramones this morning in the kitchen, so it was awesome to see the shirt. And
Nice.
I think I think your stance on it is very punk rock too. You know, it's like you were
Oh,
there.
yeah.
You were there.
Totally.
You were a cornerstone in the community. You weren't just like some geek off the street that showed up. And now, like you said, using the powers given to do what you can do. That's cool.
The fashion in the 80s is crazy. Like some of the first artists I really like looked at and wanted to like pretend to play guitar. Like Stryper, my dad was a minister, and Stryper was this band in the 80s that was like Christian classic rock or 80s rock or whatever. But they all had lots of makeup on, and they looked extra, drag queen, I guess.
They looked very drag queenish, right?
Yeah. And Prince also. I remember listening to the first Prince record, and I was like, what is happening?
Well,
My
David
man.
Bowie.
I probably wouldn't want to look Prince in the eyes. You know what I'm saying?
I almost wore a David Bowie shirt for the show, but I had to show some love for my man Corey.
What was sparking that? And
I don't think that this
I was a
culture.
baby, so
I
I
don't
didn't-
think that this culture is something new.
yeah.
I don't think gender fluidity is anything new.
Preach.
I think it's something that has existed since the beginning of time.
Preach.
I think that what has happened is that people have become more comfortable and able to express it in actual words, right? I mean, I didn't dress as a girl when I was a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
I was a tomboy, right? That's what we called me, a tomboy. I'm a straight woman, but that doesn't mean I didn't dress like a tomboy, So, I mean, I think that there were always these kinds of questions about gender fluidity. And honestly, I think a lot of it, and I mean, I don't want to preach, but I'm going to preach for a minute. I think a lot of it has to do with the suppression of women, and wanting to put women in certain boxes, wanting to force them to wear skirts in religions and things of that nature. And this fear that men are going to embrace their femininity, which is just ridiculous because we all know that we're the better sex. So, I mean, you should.
I agree.
You should embrace
1000%.
it. You should embrace it. If there's anything that you should want to be, it's a woman.
That was profound.
Okay, Shania.
Yeah. Well, my wife and I replicated a little woman, and I would like to say that kind of changed my worldview.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that true? My father says that all the
Yeah.
time. He says, "How can you be a dad and not be a feminist?"
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
It's, I think that sometimes people look at trying to, make it all into one, but we have to respect what is special about a woman and as a matriarch of the whole planet. So trying to emulate the design that they have genetically, the perfections, the flaws, I'm down with women for sure. So I would definitely understand why you would want to admire and replicate that, I don't know.
Shout out to women.
Yeah, especially when they're smart and bossy.
Chris is now sweating.
Yeah.
I'm moist.
Well, when they're smart and bossy, that's nice.
Brian, do you want to have the microphone now? Smart and
also my
bossy women.
This is my very smart partner.
But there's times where they don't want to be the boss at that time. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
In life or
Oh yeah.
whatever.
There's
That's all
sometimes.
about.
Mhm.
And there's sometimes with men, I think that you have lots of stress in life and work and whatever you're trying to do and be competitive. Sometimes you just want to like chill, not be macho, and just be, relaxed in yourself.
That's when I kick the Alexa, play the Madonna station.
I thought you were talking
Is
to
that
me.
confusing?
Well, yeah.
You chose Alexa
It's
prior
especially
to
confusing
the
at our
device,
house.
right?
Alexa,
yeah.
kick some Madonna for me.
Oh yeah, I was way
When
before.
we have
Amazon.
Alexa at the house, it's very confusing
Oh,
Mhm.
bad.
because they're both back and forth. What?
Yeah.
But most people call me Aaron, and they know that I prefer Aaron. But there are some times when we're talking about shows or talking about drag or whatever, they call me Alexa, and it's fine. It doesn't bother me. But when we're in that space talking, they call me Alexa sometimes, and then the little blue ring will light up and start talking to them.
Shut up, Alexa. Shut down.
Yeah.
So whenever everything happens here in Old Town, what are some of the highlights? Is there like food that's been changed and redesigned for the event? Is there drinks? You spoke a little bit about the entertainment that'll happen. What are the go-to things that people should look forward to just celebrating this time?
Well, this year it's an entire weekend of events. We have 6 events total, and we're going to kick it off on September 16th with Golden
Golden
Gays.
The Golden Gays.
Yeah, that's not the right name.
They are the Golden Gays.
It's the Golden Girls. It's the Golden Girls musical game show by the Golden Gays. I think
It's a lot of G's.
Chris, I have this thing in my office where people bring me stickers.
I don't think they care if you get the name right. They just want you to come to the show.
Yeah.
So,
And one day there's this Golden Gays card sitting on an office desk, and I was like, what is this? Like, it's got teddy bears on it and stuff. And I was like, what is happening here? I just put it up there with all my other stickers. I was like, I don't know what this is. And then I found them recently.
well, I have not personally seen the show. One of the queens that will be on our drag show, Chastity Vane, knows them well. I think she did hair for them. I'm not sure, but she said it's an absolute hoot, that they are a laugh riot. So they have a show on September 16th, and then we have the pre-drag show for Pride, which is going to happen at 50/50 Tap House. And that will be a drag bingo hosted by Chastity Vane. Crimson will be on that show, who won
Painted with Raven.
I always want to say,
Which is a spin-off of she got from RuPaul's Drag Race.
I always want to say That's a Raven, which I know
Right.
is not right, but I always want to say That's a Raven,
Mhm.
which was a in-home makeup competition.
Okay.
And she's actually from Loudoun County. So she'll be on the show on Friday night. And then Saturday is Pride. So, which starts at noon. It's probably going to end 4:35-ish. We will open with the mayor at noon. And then we have drag show, break, speaker, drag show, break, speaker, drag show, break, all the way up until 4 o'clock. We have over 50 vendors,
47 vendors.
not including us.
Yeah, 48 vendors.
So 48 vendors that will be all on the mall. And then we have the after party. So we will all be working from 6 in the morning until 2 in the morning on Saturday.
Wow.
Doing this event because Brian, of course, does all the music, all the marketing, all the posters, everything you see in town is DJ Sky High. Aaron will be hosting both shows, and I'm behind the scenes, running around like a maniac, trying to keep everything.
We have walkie-talkies this year.
Yes. Our good
Thanks
friend,
to Holland.
Rusty Holland. Shout out to Rusty is loaning us walkie-talkies this year. Thank God. So that I don't have to run quite.
I'm
so
very
much.
excited for a walkie-talkie.
What's your call name gonna be?
I don't
Oh,
know.
did
Oh
we
my
get
gosh,
those?
I didn't even
Did
think
we-
about
I
that.
didn't even know we got those.
Yeah.
I mean, if you give a gay a clipboard, a whistle, or a walkie-talkie, they think they're in charge.
I do not give any of
So-
this out to the gays.
So I already know that I'm in charge of my walkie-talkie. So give me
Yes.
a name, I'll really think I'm something.
Well, I guess I have to come up with call names.
Big Earn.
Big Earn.
Big
Oh my
Earn.
God, I like that.
Do you have a lot of volunteers on your staff? Like, how many people are on the team?
No, we don't have a lot of volunteers. It's pretty much the committee, and then there are people that work behind the scenes that help with like getting out posters, and we have one woman this year who is creating the canopy that we're going to use for our stage area out of flags, which I'm really excited to see. Her name is Ashley. Shout out to Ashley. And then we have people that show up the day of who help with like clean up and just
Are you
load
currently
in, load
seeking?
out.
Are you currently seeking volunteers?
Our website's open. All you gotta do is go to
Yeah,
the
I mean, we
website.
have a volunteer thing on there, and people will message us and say, I'm available, I can volunteer. My staff volunteers, so we have some people. But honestly, it's pretty much the vendors setting up. The queens take care of themselves for the most part. Sometimes it's like herding cats, getting them to the stage, but most of the time,
Right.
they're okay. Once we get going, they're okay. It's just getting them going.
We've been doing Winchester Pride events for 5 years now, but this is
Yeah.
the third time we've had the major celebration because, of course, we had the break due to the pandemic. This year, we are way bigger than the other 2 times that we did this, and I think that what we're capable of doing amongst the 3 of us, or the board, I should say, has come to like the pressure point. So I think maybe next year, if we maintain how big we are, or even bigger, it'll be time to really solicit those volunteers.
Yeah, I mean, next year we were talking about this yesterday or the day before, that we may even think about having 2 stages and maybe expanding down the other side of the mall, because we've had to turn people away this year.
We've capped out this year.
So in the Hideaway Cafe, which is at the end of the mall on the south end, Victoria Armstrong now, she just got married. Yeah, and she's one of the people that serves on our committee, and I would love to be able to span that into the mall and maybe do something down there on that Cork Street end, because she's a safe space and there are a lot of people in the community that go to Hideaway.
Cool.
Yes.
So it'd be nice if we could incorporate them. The only problem is that they're on that end of the mall,
Yeah.
and this end of the mall has the space.
Yeah. There seems to be a lot of action in the middle, and we need to build from the outside in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. This will be my first year experiencing it here in Winchester. I've seen some activity in DC and the DMV, but never helped facilitate it. So we have the Screaming Queens coming on Sunday for our first brunch. Would I refer to the group as queens or actors, or what is the proper terminology? Queens, right? Okay. And then is the shower facility in this space enough for 3 to 4? They said they could
Totally.
dress together.
Yeah.
Okay.
You use
Perfect.
Screaming Queens Entertainment?
Yes.
I used to do stuff for Screaming Queens.
Would they seem professional? Everything
Oh yeah,
cool
they're
there?
great. Mhm.
Awesome.
Yeah. I did several gigs for them. Yeah, they're great.
I mean, no, we have literally had queens dress in broom closets. I mean, literally broom closets. I mean, they will make the most out of their space.
A blanket over a 2-foot area that used to be a door that goes outside.
Right.
That's all you get.
And as far as like, is there focus like, on beverage quality, food? Like, how is the best to feed everyone who comes to a brunch? In a banquet style or seated? What do you think?
Yeah, it's banquet.
Hey, here he goes. This
You want 2 microphones?
I hope you know what you're doing before you start. Then.
We're here to gather information, man.
This is our forte, starting up shows.
That's what you have to have done.
I personally like to run it as a buffet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that runs better. Now, during COVID, that was very problematic.
Oh yeah, it was horrible.
I agree.
But I think that the COVID woes have largely subsided. We're now back to doing buffets. So, and I think that everybody is utterly cautious.
Mm-hmm.
You
Just
know,
put a box of gloves. If it's self-serve, put box of gloves. People can put gloves on when they serve the spoon. Or
yeah,
whatever.
but I like
No
I
glove,
like
no
a buffet.
eggs Benedict.
Okay.
Cool.
I think people like a buffet. I think they like selection.
Sure.
You know, personally, I'm allergic to egg.
Oh
so
no.
so brunch meals or breakfast meals are difficult for me. So usually if we're doing something, I like a buffet because usually there's some sort of a lunch option on there which I can have.
Sure. Okay. Good to know.
Note to self: lunch option.
This is, Chef will make it happen. He's good at just winging things and
There will be eggs Benedict.
There are a lot
There
of
will
egg
be eggs
allergy
Benedict.
people out there. It is
There
like
are,
it
man.
is like the
It's
number one
it's
allergy
deadly.
that there is eggs.
yeah.
Yeah. It's unbelievable how many people are allergic to eggs. I developed this allergy at 40.
No way.
Yeah, seriously, it sucks.
Oh man.
It's terrible.
I'm curious about the science on that.
I
How
really
something
love
changes.
eggs. Well, what happens is there's a protein in the egg white that your body can't break down. So then you produce it naturally, and then when you eat an egg, you go into overload because you have too much of this protein.
Uh-huh.
So then for me, it's as if I have the flu, and I have to go to bed and
Right.
sleep for like 4 or 5 hours, and then usually I'm okay.
Georgia is an advocate for the gays, women, and people with egg allergies.
And the horses, and the
Oh,
horses,
and the horses
and the
can't-
horses. Don't
yeah,
forget the horses.
Can't forget the
Yeah.
horses.
Don't ever forget the horses.
Shout out the horses.
Mhm.
Shout out to the horses. We love the horses.
Yeah, jump up real quick.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Go ahead. How you gonna make the leap?
Oh man, this is
There
like
we go.
this is like going to the bathroom during a comedy show.
DJ Sky. Exit stage left.
It's embarrassing.
No,
Sorry about
it's
that.
good. Anything else you want to share?
Well, there in addition to the Pride event and the after party show, which is at the Bright Box, 8:00. That is cash only at the door, $10. Don't show up and tell me you bought tickets on Eventbrite because you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are 2 brunches on Sunday, your brunch, and then the brunch at the Paladin.
Okay.
And all of that is available on our website.
Nice.
WinchesterPride.com.
Is that where people want to sign up for volunteers? Is that where they can do that too?
It's better to do that through the Facebook page.
Okay.
Because we haven't exactly figured out how to get the emails to me
All right.
that are coming through the website. So they're only going to Brian, also known as DJ Sky High. So use the Facebook page.
What I also would want to mention about Pride in particular is that a lot of people, when I say that, people who aren't necessarily familiar with the LGBTQ plus community think that this is just a time to celebrate. While it is, it's a little, taking it a step further, we are proud of ourselves 24/7, 365. However, this is an intentional, deliberate time set aside for our community to showcase and display that we are proud and we have contributions to make just like every other community. This is our time that we're really showing to everybody how proud we are, that we are just like everybody else. But then we're also not too, because what we have is special, just like what every other community and group has something that makes them special. So we are proud all the time. We are proud all the time, all the time, all the time, all the time. But this is our moment.
That's great. I've worked with a lot of people who perform at a very high level and represent that community. And my sister actually had 2 children, and then she found someone she loved of the same gender. And, we've grown to be close. Again, like I was saying last week, just being in people's space, you get to know human beings.
Exposure is key.
Yeah.
Exposure, visibility, representation,
Well,
all of that matters.
And I think that people who are queer curious should consider coming, because I mean, come and see the queer community and the allies, and realize that this isn't the scary thing that you may think it is.
Hey,
this is an opportunity to do that.
that is very, and that's a good point. Also, the LGBTQ plus community, y'all party the best. That's real talk. I worked in DuPont Circle like a total of 3 years in my career, like here and there. And one of the first thing that I was taught by a very flamboyant maitre d' was like, there is nobody that does it like we do, and if you're smart, you're gonna hang out.
It is a good time. It is just a big party. That's what I always say about our shows.
I
Drag
have
show is
stories
just
about the Hippodrome in the late 80s
I'm
that
sure
I
you
cannot
do.
share.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, drag shows in particular, but any kind of queer event or queer space always has that level of comfort and security to it that makes people feel like they can do that. And that's why we are so excited to bring that element of party to Winchester Pride, because it is a place for people to feel safe, like their authentic selves. You can arrive as you are. We'll meet you where you're at, and we will have a good time.
There's a funny story that the first time I ever went to, I don't remember the name of the place, but it was in Falls Church. And my wife's a hairstylist, so she has a friend, Irina, who had fully transitioned from male to female. And they were all going out to this club. And I was, to be honest with you, apprehensive. I've never been to any place like this. But we went, and it was in Falls Church. I don't remember the name of it, but it was fantastic, right? I had fun. I got hammered.
Good music too.
Me and my wife ended up in a magazine that was sponsored in that community, dancing on stage. I was like, what are the odds, man? They were like, this event happened and it had our picture on stage. I was like, that's crazy.
So are you going to come up to the Taylor for Pride?
We'll be here. Yeah, we'll be setting up. We'll check it out. We have a jam band in the evening, and followed by a DJ he's in Oregon, called East Coast. So he's East Coast based, but East Coast will be here on Saturday with the Sweet Life.
Also, don't forget that we'll also have DJ Curfew.
Oh yeah, Curfew. We'll be here till
will be
2
in the
morning
house with Frank White doing their thing.
If anybody gets claustrophobic down there or whatever wants to come out, we'll be here.
Not me breaking these good people's microphone. I'm so sorry.
And then we got to clean up Saturday too. We'll be cleaning up till late in the morning to get ready for the next morning.
Is the monument open during the day?
Not on Saturday, no.
So only Ellie's will be open?
Yeah, Ellie's will open at noon.
Okay. Is Ellie's having any specials or doing anything special for the Pride event? It would be nice if you did.
Yeah, we have special drinks available. But other than that, there's nothing on the menu that we've changed that would reflect it.
So you're going to have like Pride cocktails?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Cool.
And then over here, we'll have a lot of really crazy, cool people playing music. And then on Sunday morning, if curfew doesn't take us too long into the night, we'll have something going on.
Sunday? I'm glad you're the nighttime DJ now. I'm done with that stuff.
All right.
CO2 coming in.
Yeah.
Get ready.
We have CO2 cannons. CO2 cannons and lasers.
Have you ever considered dressing up in drag?
Oh yeah.
I've never.
Who just
I've
said, "Oh, yeah"?
I've never not.
I heard someone say,
considered
"Oh
it.
yeah," but I didn't see who it was. Who said that?
I didn't say it.
I don't know.
I think you could pull it off.
All right, let's do it. You gotta try everything once, right?
You got to get rid of all
maybe
this.
we should do let's do a show in drag, man.
I don't know, dude. If
Well, Justin and I are talking about doing drag shows here monthly, and if we start doing that, we may have to.
All right.
oh
Have
yeah,
you
you're talking
do
about fundraising.
Yes.
In December, we're looking to do that. What organization would you be fundraising for? What do you think would be a good partner?
No, Winchester Pride would like to do monthly drag shows to support nonprofits in the community. It's not
Okay.
one specific nonprofit. We would like to do it for Concern, for Froggy's Closet, for literacy volunteers, for SFERN, for the SPCA, for
cool.
all the nonprofits.
Oh, okay.
Fundraising, we run a nonprofit in addition to Pride, Shenandoah Valley Equine Rescue Network. And during the 2 years of the pandemic, it was impossible to raise money. I mean,
oh yeah.
you could not have an event. And most of these organizations rely on events. So I just feel like this is something that Pride could do to give back to the community and to create some goodwill between the nonprofits. So
Right.
it's something I want to do monthly.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
Not just one time.
Nice.
Forever
Yeah.
and ever
Relationships
until I die.
are ongoing. I hear you.
Shuts down, we'll still be here.
Look, Chris and I have been on this side of the mountain doing business now together for 9 months. So every month
10
we
months.
meet some.
10 months.
It's about to be 10 months. We meet somebody new and embrace some different group, and that's just we're on our pioneering venture out here. It's a unique space to do business, but I've had a lot of
We're
fun.
ambassadors. We're ambassadors of fun. You know, we don't judge based off of race, creed, ethnicity, sexual orientation, football team preferences, or anything. You know, we just,
Yeah.
It's the reason why it's a jewel of the Shenandoah Valley.
Yeah.
What?
It's a reason why Winchester is a jewel of Shenandoah Valley.
Nice.
you know, I live in Front Royal. What do you call that place?
Helltown.
Yeah, it is Helltown.
Never mind.
It's the never mind. Different
All
type-
right. I
different
think
type
we're
of jewel.
good unless there's anything else to plug. Where are we at? Curfew.
We're at 446.
Perfect.
It's not just the new venue in town. It's a monument to live entertainment.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome
The Monument, the new premier concert and event venue in Winchester. 2 stories, state-of-the-art sound, delicious food and drink, and the best in live events. The Monument, on the corner of Loudon and Piccadilly in Winchester, and right at the cutting edge of live entertainment. Go to themonumentva.com. That's themonumentva.com for events, tickets, special offers, and more. The Monument. We'll see you at the next show.